Three, two, one. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we doing today, boys and girls? Let me just put the post up over on the Book of Faces and we'll get started. Live with episode 211. 211? 211. We're at episode 211. Can you believe that? Crazy insane. Now let me get the doobly-doo working here. Get that put into the thing. All right, chat is live. I really need to go through and like reorganize some of these screens. It's chilly this morning too. Oof. Not a fan. So, we have a few things to do. Mostly, it's going to be concerned with going through my 3D prints now and snapping off pieces. Because I got 3 big pieces over there. Helmet's almost, well, the front half of the helmet's done. I'll show you that in a few minutes. And we're going to be wrapping up by the end of this week. Well, I got the last quarter of the helmet shell. And then I just have some little greeblies that I need to print off. But then after that, it's figuring out how to make the things. And then we're moving away from the 3D printed section of that to the fit and finish of all the little things. Like for this one, I don't know if I'm going to put, do the full suite on it, or if I'm just going to finish it and paint it and put it out there. We'll see what we end up coming up with. But I do want to do these so I can take them and make metal replicas of the helmets. Until that time, though, I also have a bunch of other little projects that I need to work on. And again, Alan, congratulations for winning this. Next time I see you, you'll be the recipient. It's a nice little pouch. It's fun to make. And I actually really enjoyed making this pouch. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is making a bunch more. Because there's no kill like overkill. But yeah, if I get like, 15 or 20 of these things, different styles and stuff, throw them at a store, they'll go. I also need to make some hats. But I think what we're going to mainly concern ourselves with today is a 3D printer and trying to work out a plan for that Martian blaster. Just clean up the area here a little bit. So, here's the helmet as it stands. Nothing super fine or fancy, just interesting little bit and bob. Kind of cool too. But I need to sand this down a little bit because it's all pretty rough up there. Actually caught my hair. It's a nice little thing. That's good. I enjoy it. So we got that guy. We just gotta be working on that for now. Because I do want to get this finished and up and off somewhere by at the very least the second week of December. Pretty cool little thing, I think. Very interesting shape, very interesting design. I think it has a lot of potential. Yeah, I do. And I think that I really think I could make one of these real. Looking at it, looking at all the different pieces, the panel lines and everything else. I'm very sure I can make this into a real, actual thing. But last major component printing off right now. Okay. That one. And that one. So, let's see about breaking these supports off and seeing kind of where we're at. See how much easier that is? It's a hell of a lot easier. Just being able to go through and rip and tear. We're slowly getting there. I'm just upset that I had to change so many settings and stuff, and I basically wasted a whole spool printing off pieces that were just junk, really. I mean, at a certain point it doesn't matter, just because it is what it is. But see how it's just popping right off? That's how it should have been. Well, now I have a scar. That will remind me to always look at my stupid settings before I just run with something. But you can't learn if you don't make mistakes. And let's be honest, filament's pretty cheap. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be real happy when this project's done. Good morning, Alan. How are we doing today, brother? Switch this over. I still have your pouch. You got to be at the, when's the next time you're going to be at the shop? Scissors, that would make this much easier. And what are we working on this week? And these supports are still a little bit more tenacious than I would like. Coffee in hand and wood stove going. A bit chilly this morning. Yes, it is. I mean, oh, I'm wearing pants and a long sleeve shirt. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these cold starts. I got some Maxwell House in my cup as well. I would like to get into more boutique coffees. Like, I'm a real fan of Black and Brass, but I don't have a coffee grinder, so I need to either get one or make one. So you have to test a baseboard heater, see if it works in the ceiling of the basement. See if it works. Was in the ceiling of the basement. Interesting. I have this little space heater down here. That I haven't plugged in yet. I got it at a scratch and dent store. I used this extensively last year. Just underneath the desk, keep my jiggly bits and my toes nice and warm. Fantastic little thing. You know, speaking of cold and such, I wonder how much this weather is affecting my 3D printer. I should probably build a case for it of some sort or something. Just to kind of encapsulate it and to keep the temperature more consistent. I'm not really so worried about the moisture because I've had stuff running just with ambient moisture and not doing anything special, and I haven't really had a problem. But I think the temperature, especially these massive temperature swings, are probably affecting the pieces as they're printing. So I think I need to come up with some sort of a solution there. Probably be something similar to what I did with the laser. I don't think it needs to be as robust or as extensive because it's just a 3D printer. It's not that big a deal. And I don't think the 3D printer's gonna spontaneously combust. That's a problem. The whole thing's starting to delaminate a little bit. Maybe put a little too much pressure on it. Shh, it's okay. There we go. I'll probably still come up and do some cleanup with a knife. Some of these pieces. went through yesterday and I finished putting new joint sealer on 2 of the 3 doors in this house, just to try and stave off some of that heat loss. And I want to do a window wrap on some of these windows. I'm thinking the one I should start with is the one that's behind this guy here, because there's a window right behind my leather bench, and there's a window right in front of the bench. And I should probably put something more permanent in front of them, just to get especially for this one behind the leather bench. I'm not going to see it anyways. So I might as well basically block off that window. Because at a certain point, why not? It's a useless window, and that's just sucking heat out of the house. And the window that's back there, I don't have access to it anyways, so I might as well maybe not block it off, but put a seal over it. And then I got some big, beautiful windows in the kitchen that are old, single pane. I need to do something with those too, like drastically. Now, this is the piece I lost that chunk of knuckle on last time. We're going to set this aside and move on to some other pieces. I'm going to be at the shop today, finishing up some infrastructure for the sanctum. I'm going to be getting electricity up into the choir loft today. Thinking about putting it in the basement to keep the pipes from freezing. Wouldn't be a terrible idea. This winter is either going to be super mild or super harsh. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be on the harsh side, just seeing how unpredictable the weather has been recently. And keep the floor toasty as well. Well, I mean, roasty toast. Ooh. That's like extra special. Honestly, there's nothing I hate more than getting up to take a leak at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and your feet pull your feet out of the covers, and you lay them on the floor, and ooh, good golly, Miss Molly, it's a piece. That is just the worst. Ice cold tile, not fun. No, it's not. I think either when I build or when I buy, one of the first projects I'm gonna do, other than making sure the house is like airtight, watertight, and all that stuff, like the first big renovation project would be to put in radiant heating, because it's just so much nicer. I also always keep a pair of house slippers on. I made a pair a few years ago, about 3 years ago, and I'm still wearing them now. I don't know if I ever did a video on them. I don't think I did, because it was when I was living over in Peckville, and I made them during that 2-week stint where I had COVID. Let me tell you, that was a miserable experience. So I don't think I shot too much video of that over those 2 weeks. I don't even know if I did live streams during those 2 weeks. Probably did at least one of them. Got a pair of Hey Dudes. I saw those when I was out. I was actually out shopping. I just bought myself a pair of shoes for the first time that don't have holes in them. I was getting tired of my toes slipping out while I was trying to walk around. I finally had some extra cash, and I saw those, and I didn't know anything about them, so I didn't mess with them. But I've been thinking about them since, and you're not the first person to tell me about them. So what do you think about Hey Dude shoes? I mean, clearly you have a pretty good opinion because you're saying they're comfortable. But like, what's their shtick? What's their gimmick? Peels apart, right? Just like Velcro on the bottom. I love it. My problem is I have really large feet, especially where my toes are. Like my feet really open up very wide. So I have a hell of a time finding shoes. Which is why I've made a bunch. I still haven't figured out. Ooh, that was satisfying. All thinking off, little ring kind of. That was real satisfying. You know, some of these come off so nice and easy. Like, look at that like panel line there, nice and clean. Alan, they are light. Feel like slippers. Upper portion is a canvaso. It moves and has a bit of stretch to it. In my opinion, they are great around the house shoe wear. Would wear them out too, but feel too light for them. Interesting. I need to find driving because I'm used to boots. That's fair. I mean, I have a bunch of barefoot shoes and stuff, and they're fantastic, so I don't think the lightness would bother me at all. I just need to find something that'll be good for using and everything else at the shop. And that's my biggest issue. I got a pair of leather dress shoes that aren't really dress shoes. They fit relatively nicely. I might actually take those and copy them. They're a good shoe. And the patterns on them seem rather, not simple, but easy to follow and understand. And of course, for blacksmithing and stuff, you don't want synthetic materials. So all the grinding, the scale, and everything else. I really like leather. What time am I going to be at the shop today? I'm probably going to leave here shortly after I'm done with the live stream. So I'll probably be up there for a few hours. I got to do I really got to finish that electrical, at least upstairs. You know, getting the lines run and getting everything installed and hooked up to the breaker today. That's my goal. because I have 2 lines from the basement. I got one fished up to the stairwell, and some stuff up there needs to get moved. And then I can take that guy and send him right up to the choir loft, so I can get that, start getting that energized. And then I want to get both lines run up there. And then I'd like to get the one hooked up to the panel at least. I'll probably get both pulled up and just have one, hanging out loose. So I'll probably be up there for 2 hours, maybe 3 hours today. And if I get that all done today, by next week I should be able to sit down and do the stage and the bathroom, which that should be relatively simple. At least, especially compared to all the BS that I've been through with the stairwell and everything else. So probably we end here at 10. Oh, it's already 9:40. Geez. Yeah. Probably be up there around 11. And probably till, I don't know, 11, 12, 1, maybe 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock. Because I don't want to spend all day up there. Because I have a bunch of stuff around here that I want to get done too, I also have a broken down washing machine that I need to dispose of. So, anyways, the rest of that's knife work. And I really need to concentrate on that once I get that far in life. But this is how it's going so far with the face. I think this is turning out really cool. Still have, some internal work to do before I put on a bit of a rattle too. Fix that last thing in the front. You find some way to glue or whatever the inside. This turned out to be a pretty cool thing though, isn't it? And I was saying earlier, this has real potential to make pardon me. This has real potential to make into a real steel helmet too. It has some complex shapes, but all those complex shapes are all well defined within these panels. So I could easily, I think, translate this to a pattern, and then from that pattern to a piece of steel. And then actually forge a real Warhammer helmet. I mean, it'd be a lot of welding, a lot of, you know, it'd be a lot of fiddly work. And looking through this, I would definitely change a few things. I know they're supposed to be these superhuman things, and they're supposed to be much, much bigger in all dimensions. But this here is a little too wide. You lose a lot of vision out of the front. Auto darkening lenses would make it an interesting welding helmet. Yes, it would. If I could find some polarizing lenses that would fit something like this, I'd use the piss out of this. Are you kidding me? Especially because they're supposed to have their own air supply, so they're supposed to have, you know, some stuff go, you know, some bits and bobs going this way and this way, that kind of that are kind of supposed to show you that they're space worthy, or they have some sort of air cleaning properties or something. Could be a very interesting project. But I think it definitely has promise, though, doesn't it? Like, to make something like this real. I really don't think the forging would be all that difficult. Like, other than, like, the skull, like the actual skull itself, and this ridge that comes up over top. Like that. Yeah, like that. I really don't think it'd be that hard to do. And I think the way to do it would be to make like a super skeleton almost. Basically where all these lines, you know, connect. And I think how I would do it then is have studs, basically, small machine screws, you know, welded on the inside, so that these pieces would basically click on and then bolt from the inside. As to this ridge here, yeah, definitely. It would just be difficult matching the profile of this to the profile of this. But I mean, this is supposed to be like an air vent, I think, anyways, or a heat vent. Probably both. I mean, in here it actually has an actual, like a channel at the top. So I'm sure it's supposed to help bleed off some heat, even as a 3D printed part. But yeah, I would just forge the helmet, and then I would. This ridge here would be the hard part, basically. But yeah, that would just be a welded on piece. And the rest of it could just bolt together pretty much. But I think at the end of it all, that would be the most difficult piece to do. Because everything else is relatively flat panels. The nose section here has a bit of an anti-clastic curve thing going on. But none of these other pieces are really hard. Like this here would just be just a flat piece and just bent over. This would just be another big flat piece that just gets welded onto a side, like, and then trimmed. You got some pieces going around the back here, but even that's not too hard. Auto body hammers. Yeah. No, that would be the savior of this project. The welder, the grinder, and auto body work. But I mean, none of this is too complex, really. And I think if I got a metal one together that had a decent padding in it and even some basic electronics, one, you have to admit that'd be pretty badass. Two, it would definitely command a certain price. What that price is, I don't know yet. Hell, I think just having this done and printed and painted and stuff will be a pretty good, fetch a pretty good price. And I think this guy, if I can get it done and get it to sell, I'm pretty sure this guy would really, really sell and pay for doing the nice one. I think it would look great in an anodized black. Ooh. I think you're right. See, I almost want to... I think this is one of those things that... Like, I want to do, at least for this one, the ultramarine colors, which... Let me figure out that. Find a good picture of them. There we go. That's decent. Something like that. So it's an ultramarine blue. There's another picture. What I'm thinking I'll actually show some of the superstructure on that one. I'm going to save that picture. I think doing the mouth grill as like a gunmetal, but doing these inset pieces, I almost want to do those as a like get some black 2.0. So it really, really makes it look like a void. And I'll probably do, ultramarine over the bulk of it, and then go back and do some. I think lapis lazuli would do good, and paint some insignias and such on the helmet around it. And then I want to, they have these like, basically they're Bible passages with that are sealed like a wax seal. So, on one or two places around here, I think it would be very interesting to, if I inset a magnet inside of it, and then made one of those seals that has a magnet on it, you can just pop, 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 pop. But that's one of those things that I have to think about, and how much is too much, and so on and so forth. Because a project like this, it is very easy to get carried away on. Very easy to get carried away on. And since this is just going to be the starter, I think some gunmetal and some, that's the historical way they got pigment. Yeah, it is. And that's why blue, especially lapis lazuli blue, was one of the most expensive paints. Historically. I follow this lady on TikTok, and she goes through all the different paints. Like, I knew the lapis lazuli, but there are some paints out there that are even more out there and even more extravagant. And I can't even imagine. Like mummy brown. As much or more than gold, yeah. Which is nuts. It's a paint pigment, but since it's actually, that pigment is a stone that is ground up and then applied, that color is never going to change. Which is wild that they were that concerned with the perfection and the longevity of certain things. That they'd go through such a painstaking process to get these stones mined, and then milled again, and then they add things to them, and then they will paint with them. Like, that is a long, intense process to get some blue paint. At the end of the day, just blue paint. It's a long process. It's not like, lamp black or charcoal. Like, that stuff's easy, quick, fast. But just to get it blue, like, good lord. But that's also why thousands of years later, you can still take the shellac off these paintings, and they look almost as good as they did the day they got finished. Hundreds of years later, sometimes thousands of years later. So, was it worth it? Maybe. It is still bitter cold in this house. Should it be warming up? It's almost 10 o'clock. Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. But yeah, paint and pigment and stuff, and how much it cost, and what they went to go through it, through just to get it, and then to all that time and expense. It really says a lot about the cultures and what they believed and what they thought, how they worked. Fascinating. That's why I love history. Is you learn a lot more about the human condition, about how much we've changed, but still at the same time how much we've stayed the same. It's very interesting, very fascinating stuff. I also really like mosaic tiles. They just they just got I think it was in Turkey. It was an old Roman villa, and the flooring was built so meticulously well. Now I want to try and make the pick right. I mean, you can get lapis lazuli relatively cheap anymore. But they made that floor and those mosaics so nicely that when they experienced an earthquake, well, they just uncovered this like within the last few months, I think, a few months to a year. The floor actually took and held the undulations of the earth as the earthquake passed through it. And the floor didn't crack or shatter or break or anything. Everything just kind of took it and held it. And it is really cool. I suggest trying to find it and looking it up because it's just fascinating. And they just did a whole bunch of DNA testing on people from Pompeii. Now that I'm on the subject, I'm sorry, I'm going to run a little over time. And they start DNA testing all these people and seeing, like, are they related? Are our hypotheses correct? Like, a lot of these people were just people. That happened to be there, and during this great calamity, they had almost no connection or anything to each other. And as their world was ending, they all kind of banded together and found each other, and at least that's what it's looking like at this point. It wasn't just a mother holding her daughter. It was somebody who found this kid crying, and instead of trying to get themselves to safety, held the kid. And that's that forever. Fascinating, heartbreaking. But yeah. And $9 for about half a pound on Amazon. That's a doable price. That's not too bad. Definitely not more expensive than gold anymore. But we are past time now. So hopefully, Alan, I see you at the shop today, so I can give you that pouch especially. I hate hanging out with the things. I just get rid of it. Because the longer I hang on to things, I'm either going to lose it or it's going to get broken or destroyed or something somehow. Anyways, that's the hour, guys. So I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Anyways. And hopefully I see you later this afternoon at some point. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And thank you for helping make this world better. One kerf at a time. I'll see y'all later.